Hi guys, this is Taylor, and today I'm doing my first ever solo review for this channel. I'm going to be talking about Bending Adversity, Japan and the Art of Survival by David Pilling. I read this as a part of Japanese June, and basically it was so much more than I expected, and it exceeded my expectations in every way and impressed me so much. When I was reading this, I was actively thinking that this is one of the best pieces of nonfiction I've ever read, not just on Japan, but overall one of the most effective, informative, and just best works of nonfiction I've ever read. So I went into this thinking that it was largely focused on the 2011 earthquake, tsunami, and nuclear disaster, the recovery efforts, and the mentality of the Japanese people in relation to those events. It's actually so much more than that. It absolutely includes information and insight into those events, but really those events kind of serve as a motif to the greater picture, and the greater picture here is an incredibly detailed portrait of modern Japan culturally and economically. That's really the best way I can put it. If you want to know, if you want to understand what Japan has been going through, what its biggest issues are as a country and how they've attempted to solve those issues, read this. Another thought that I had while reading this was, if I was going to teach a class on modern Japan, which I'm absolutely not qualified to do in any way, shape, or form, but if I had to, this would absolutely be required reading. So I want to talk a little bit about the author and kind of his intentions for writing this book, because I found this to be one of its strengths, actually. David Pilling is English, I believe. He has no Japanese ancestry, so he's writing about a country and a culture that is foreign to him. Of course, this kind of makes me read with a particularly critical eye, especially because it's nonfiction, but he actually states in the foreword of this book that it was his chief intention to let the Japanese people tell their own stories as much as possible within this book, and that is something that is definitely achieved here. The base of this book is a number of very solid, productive interviews, and I feel that this is the single best way that he could have approached this book as a foreign author. As a work of journalism, I also think that this is incredibly unbiased, even when talking about really sensitive topics like Japanese war crimes and whether or not Japan as a nation should be more apologetic about them. That is a hard thing to write about in an unbiased way, but he really just lays it out and says, here's the context for this issue, here are both sides of the argument, and this is a topic that the country continues to debate about. Another one of my main takeaways here was just how intelligent and self-aware this book came across. That might seem a little bit obvious. We're talking about nonfiction here, so you would hope that it would come across as intelligent. But really, this felt like a book that just wanted to gather as much factual information as possible and just tell a story about Japan, its issues, and how the Japanese people see themselves, and a lot of the time the discrepancies between how individual Japanese see themselves and their country. It really didn't feel like it was pushing any kind of agenda. It just felt like a very flowing narrative based in truth. I did listen to the audiobook for the entirety of this, and that may have helped to hold my attention just a little bit more. I can't say for sure that I wouldn't have enjoyed this as much if I had read it in print, because I didn't read it in print, so I can't say. If I had to level any kind of criticism at this book, I would say that it's a little more skewed to the economic side of things than I would personally like, especially in the latter half and even in the afterword. But A, that's definitely a personal preference, and B, David Pilling is an economist by profession, so that only makes sense. And besides that, it's definitely not technical enough in any way to just go completely over anyone's head. But those minor nitpicky things aside, I haven't felt this strongly about nonfiction in a while, and it feels good to feel this strongly about nonfiction. I loved this book. I think it kind of goes without saying, but I would absolutely recommend it if you're looking for a primer on just Japan overall in the 20th and 21st centuries. This got a 5-star rating from me, if you couldn't tell. So that's all I have for you today. We're nearing the end of Japanese June, and so far for me it's been pretty successful, so definitely look out for my wrap-up next week. And I hope you're having a great day, and I'll see you soon. Bye!